All right, well, I'm just pretty much going to just cut straight to the chase. This isn't going to go into anything about the history behind gender theory, some of the experiments that have been done in the past or things that are being done now that I disagree with. This is going to look more at what people generally believe based on where they land, what are some scientific anchors that we have, and then what are some ways that society can accommodate for people. There are some shorts in this video, so go check out the shorts. The links will be in the description for those and support the original work. But let's cut to the chase and get right to it. So let's start with a general political spectrum. We'll put this as extreme right. Put this as extreme left. Now, this isn't going to be a perfect example of what each side believes because it's a one-dimensional graph or line. And so it's going to have some things that might not be exactly where they could be. Like certain aspects of it can vary left and right. And then we'll just mark that middle, mark this right or middle right, and then mark this left or middle left. Compared to the extremes anyway, it's more middle. But we'll just go right and left. So over on the extreme right, we have sex equals gender. They're both biological and they can't be changed. And because it's the extreme, they want to control you to say that you can't be changing and you yourself cannot undergo whatever treatment, surgeries, whatever that you want to do. That's the mark of the extreme. On the extreme left, you have sex equals gender. Bet you didn't see that coming because they're both just a construct and you can change either at any time. So you can change them and they too want to control you because if you say that it's not a construct, that's not the proper belief system. They can be changed. They are a construct and you have to believe that. And that's the whole extremist view. On the right, you have sex and gender are the same thing. They're both biological still, hence they can't change. However, they have no wishes to control you and they're very much more you do you. And so while this is still their view on reality, they're just more kind of like, you're an adult, you can make whatever decision you want, they don't give a shit. Now again, this can slide around depending on how extreme someone is, but those are like the general placements that I tend to see. On the left you have sex is not equal to gender, which is the first different one. Sex is biological, but gender is a construct, or it's your emotions, or it's how you feel or something. It's something not definite. It is in your head. Hence your sex can't be changed, whereas your gender can be changed. And while there is a lot of a generally you do you attitude, there is often a light amount of control, just in enough where that they want you to see that gender is not the same as sex and acknowledge them for who they feel to be instead of who they are. And the middle is, any one of those two beliefs usually. Now there is another obvious category that I've noticed, and it would fall under the more extreme, but it's different than just this one. And it's fairly the same. Sex and gender are not the same. One's biological, one's a construct, though that can change as you go further extreme. One can't change, one can. But there's a lot more control that it wishes to exert over society and pushing for the rather radical ideas that children can consent. And that's why it's more on the extreme side of this. It's basically this, except that at a certain level of radicalism, you get the idea that children can consent. And then past that, you can see that the whole sex and gender thing are the same. It could be swapped. Again, things can still slide around on this. A one-dimensional line isn't actually the greatest tell. There's different core beliefs that will alter someone's stance on a particular thing, whether they're equal or not, whether you can or can't change certain things, whether it's more of a you do you attitude or it wants a more strict regimented control. For example, there are people who are right of the middle who say that people like Buck Angel should use the women's room, and there's people that say Buck Angel should use the men's room, and they're both on this side of it. Yes, someone who says sex and gender are the same and they can't be changed can believe the opposite of someone else and still be logically consistent. That lies in the you do you attitude for adults. The only time children ever enter and generally for probably about this much of the graph or the line, they'd say children can't consent. It's not a crazy radical extreme position. It's just what we all know and what is codified in our laws. All right, children can't get tattoos because it's too much of a permanent alteration to their bodies. So if you're gonna start messing with someone's hormones and parts of their body, potentially removing them or doing anything like that before they're 18, that falls under the children can consent idea, which is still, luckily, very radical, though it is being pushed hard. But more and more people seem to be aware of it and are pushing back against it. But so that's the general political spectrum and what it believes, as far as I've seen. And again, what's kind of funny is that over on the extreme right, you have sex and gender are the same. And over on the extreme left, you also have sex and gender are the same. They just believe it's a different thing. But anyways, before I begin here, I would like to show you a video first. So there was the first wave of feminists who were reformers. And then you have the second wave, which is like Simone. And in the 20th century, I forget who, it's someone I heard about, started using gender instead of just for language, gendered language, meaning like the fact that I think table is gendered female in Spanish, or biblioteca for library. You then have gender being applied to humans. And I just wanted to show you a video of Simone answering a question. So she says, what I mean by that is that, of course, it's very important that a woman can become pregnant, have children, whereas a man cannot. Again, she's a feminist. But even then, a woman can become pregnant and a man cannot. She doesn't say a female and a male. That's a significant difference between the two. So she's stating that there is a difference between a man and a woman. But she says a woman can become pregnant, have children, whereas a man cannot. That is something that today is seen as, oh, what did you say? That goes against what people are saying. But let's talk about this. So in a purely scientific way, and then we'll evolve it through language. We have sperm havers, all right? And then we have egg havers. Well, that's not something that you would want to usually refer to, like just in the social settings. So what's a word that we have that directly correlates to that in the best way possible? Well, we have male and we have female. It's like, okay, so we have male and female. So why do you need man and woman to be associated with biology? Because this right here, definitely, clearly biological. This, by extension, is also biological. And now I'm going to use something known as a umbrella term. You see, there's the word shapes. I'm sure when I say that, you can think of a few different shapes. Maybe a square, circle, triangle, star, octagon. You get the point. Those specific shapes of a square, a circle, a triangle, a star fall under the umbrella term shapes. They are all shapes, but each one is different. Now let's talk about men. Well, men is an umbrella term of its own. You got, tall men, short men. You can get more specific. Like we have the circle shape, the square shape. Like put that in that square-shaped hole or whatever. But men itself has an umbrella term for which there's a different category that men does not suit. That category is boys. Both of these things are male. Everyone has agreed on that until just recently. Under the male umbrella term, there are men and there are boys. And likewise, under the female umbrella term, there are women and there are girls. Hence why men or man is actually still referred to under a biological context. So by extension, man and woman are also biological. Now, every word does not have a single definition. There might be some words that do, but there is a biological reference or connection with the word man, meaning male, meaning sperm havers. So I think that kind of gets the point across. But if you still want to have gender be something else, well, let's talk about what that is and what would it actually define and what would be the limitations of that. And for that, let's pull up this video. And like I said, if you're going to have this biological function for reproduction, there has to be a male and a female, or as he puts it, and as we've derived, a man and a woman. But he does give, credence to the idea that if gender is associated with what would traditionally be called personality, how you expressed yourself, who you were, then you could make the argument that there are infinite genders because every person is infinitely unique. However, to lump that in with sex and saying that it changes your sex, but that would just be needlessly conflating gender and sex if gender is a separate thing. And so to go back here, if you're going to say that sex and gender are different and define it more as he says, temperament, he used that word a lot, or like your personality or something like that, how you express yourself, then you shouldn't needlessly conflate it with sex. Because if it's just how you express yourself, hell, sometimes I express myself as a myriad of things. However you want to take a section of my life or a moment in my life and define it as this is how I'm expressing myself and say that that's some different gender, you can come up with a bunch of different ones. You can also come up with ones that are very similar to what other people would want to say is their gender, but is really just their self-expression, which we already have a term for, self-expression. Or you can use personality if you want to go a little bit more towards their own psychology. Now, to stay on the biological train for just a second longer, there's another short that I want to bring up, and that's this one. And in this, about here, she says there's two people basically who will misgender you: those who make honest mistake and those who are basically just evil people who are horrible, or as I would refer to them as people who are consciously not accepting your views on reality. But because they differ from hers, she thinks that they're just being mean. But in this, if you watch the subtitles up here, listen to it, she actually explains part of the biological reason for why people get misgendered. So after one generally make mistakes, their brain automatically assigns you a particular category, or they blurt out whatever category comes to their mind, but your brain automatically assigns you. I just wanted to touch on that because there is a reason that people will automatically and subconsciously even assign someone to a particular category. And the reason for that is evolution. And how do you evolve? Through multiple generations. And how do you have multiple generations? You have non-detrimental mate selection. For example, if you select mates that either always are just going to keep killing off your offspring or doing something heinous, or if you choose a mate that can't produce an offspring, then your bloodline will end and you won't have any more offspring. You won't have any generations after yours that will go into the future. And the first step of that is finding someone of the opposite sex. So our brains subconsciously will look at someone and immediately identify whether or not that person fits into the same sex or opposite sex category. Because before we look at them and go, they are attractive or potentially a good mate based on like certain aspects, all that energy to contemplate that would be wasted if it's someone who you biologically could never produce offspring with. And I don't have a problem with gay people or any of that stuff. This is just a scientific explanation of like how evolution works and how offspring are deployed into the next generation to continue the human race. But the first step of that is determining same sex or opposite sex. If it's same sex, doesn't matter anything else you think about them in searching for a partner scientifically. If it's opposite sex, that's probably hard to see. If it's opposite sex, then judge to see if they would be a good fit for you. And that is ingrained in our brains. Is this someone I'd be attracted to sexually, or is this someone I wouldn't be attracted to sexually? Is really how it would go in your brain. Because if you just did same sex, opposite sex, you'd be like, ding, nope. And for other people, it'd be like, ding, nope. So you can either do that, or you can just be like, sex I'm attracted to, sex I'm not attracted to. But even she says your brain will automatically assign it. So even she, on some level, understands why people are, as she puts it, misgendered. So now let's just talk about some other aspects to this whole situation. So firstly, we have the claim that I'm going to say is accurate, and that's human biology is not binary. And the fact of the matter is, human biology is bimodal. Now, what's the difference between binary and bimodal, and how is this distinction important? Well, binary is obviously 1 and 2, or 1 and 0. And these are the two categories, and this is the only possible explanation. And this is all there is, just this or this. If you don't fit into this box or this box, that's it. And now the difference with being bimodal is this. So what is a bimodal distribution? A bimodal distribution is a probability distribution with two modes. We often use the term mode in descriptive statistics to refer to the most commonly occurring value in a data set. But in this case, the term mode refers to a local maximum in a chart. When you visualize a bimodal distribution, you will notice two distinct peaks that represent these two modes. So unimodal, obviously there's one commonality and then some like other stuff. But bimodal is you have most people centered around here, or you have most things centered around here, most things centered around here. But you got some that go out to the extremes, and you got some that kind of overlap a little bit. Easily remembered by bi meaning 2, uni meaning 1. Whatever, not here for like statistics or whatever. But this, we have male and female, or man and woman over here. And we have women who are way more feminine, and then we have men that are way more masculine than anyone else in the population. But then we have, let me explain it with a graph. So we have, let's do this. We have the red is women, so women, and men will be in blue. let's say you have this, and that's people with XY chromosomes. And you have this, and that's people with XX chromosome. And then you can make like a graph or a chart that basically is like how masculine are they in hormones, the way they act or whatever, and then you can have how feminine they are. So there are women who are more masculine than men, and there are men who are more feminine than women. And it could be a distribution like this, or it could be a distribution like this, or there's like a bit of overlap, or there can be, you know, more extensive overlap. Like if you take the average man and do like a strength test, there might be a few women that go higher. Let's actually pull this up. Bro, the average man would lose all day. We're talking about the top tier power lifter. The average dude is just flabby and no cardio, no strength. Top tier power lifter is on drugs. Yeah. Even though this post was deleted, average man versus top tier power lifter woman, this dude sums it up pretty well. So depending on what you're graphing, there are women, it could even be more extreme than this, where there are certain women, or it could be more like, this is just thrown together. But it could also be more like that, where there's like long stretch where like the most elite are getting out there. You get the idea. But depending on what you're doing, the average man is pretty weak nowadays, since the majority don't even work out. Top tier powerlifting women sweeps. Yeah, average man would probably gas out real fast. Why can't I scroll on this? The fuck's going on, Reddit? Also, why was that mature content? That was female average strength. Average male people lose weight 100 pounds. Average male. Female 20% of the 3 Average female 15%. Average max 25. Average deadlift. Average female bench press. Female deadlift. Biggest lift by female. Yeah, hence the fucking Reddit post. Biggest lift by a female. 2,000 pounds versus, what's that? That's big 3 lifts. For male deadlift. Becca Swanson is the only woman to lift 2,000 pounds over 3 big lifts. And the world record. Yeah, like, I don't see where it is. But yeah, there are women who would crush. She's probably like fucking out here somewhere, where she's gonna crush the average male, but not the top. And that's what a bimodal distribution is. So you can put people with XY chromosomes and then people with XX chromosomes, and then you can put like in green or something, you can put like people with XXX or people with XYX chromosomes, and it'd be like that, or, you know, roughly, because that is by no means anywhere near a majority or a large number, because that is a very tiny amount of the population. It doesn't mean there's only 3 people, but percentage-wise, it is a very small amount, and it's not what we should be basing science on or basing our society off of. If you want, we should make rules for the general and then exemptions or alternate rules for the exceptions. And that's where things like what bathroom should someone use depending on what they do with their body or how they look, which throws back to this with the generally you do you attitude, where you do whatever you want with your body, you know. And then some people would be like, yeah, go into whatever bathroom you want to look like, and then which actually that would be more on the extreme side, or go into the one of your, well, let's say there's the extreme that would say go into whatever bathroom you want. There's the general middle and, you know, general left that would say go into whatever one you look like so that you won't cause a disturbance. And then there's the go into, and then there's the opposite of go into the one that you were born as, which could cause problems with, again, if someone like Buck Angel went into the women's room, that could just cause some problems. Or if Blair White went into the men's room, that could cause some problems. So just because someone is born as one sex doesn't always mean that they should always use the bathroom of that sex. Now, how do we regulate who goes into what bathroom, or should we even regulate it? Should it be more like a, hey, if you're, you know, caught doing some weird shit, then we'll like prosecute you? Or should it be like just even going into the bathroom is something worth prosecuting? That's a whole nother conversation about how much we want to control or regulate the situation. But for example, to take a play out of the gun control handbook, you could make it so that males by default go into the men's/boys room, And females, by default, go into the women's/girls room. And then you can set up various different licensing systems or whatever, or you can either have it to where a medical professional looks at someone, or you go before a judge and you have them determine, or you have some other organization or whatever look at someone and issue a license, so that under license they can act as a female and enter the women's/girls' room. And females under a license could act as males and go into the men's or boys' room. But if you really want to have people like changing whatever bathrooms they're going into, you can either completely not regulate it or have slight regulation where it's like, hey, if you're caught doing something weird in the bathroom, then you're going to get prosecuted. Or you can go total tyrannical and be like, hey, if you're a male, you have to get a license to enter the women's room, or if you're female, you have to get a license to enter the men's room. And you can do that way. If anyone is like, hey, what are you doing in here? Like, you look like a whatever, then you could like pull out your license for it, or like show, an employee or a cop or whatever the license, and then be like, look, you can't like kick me out of this place because I was using the restroom or whatever. And that can be used as a form of like protection, someone who is trans. Or you can make it like an optional thing where someone can get a license and then they can just kind of have that like protection, essentially being like, hey, look, you can't throw me out because of the bathroom was not the same. And you can have like that more tyrannical system, or you can just leave it to where, I don't even know what the state is now. Like, is it actually illegal to enter the opposite sex's bathroom? Legality of using the wrong bathroom. Is illegal in the wrong bathroom. You are guilty of disorderly behavior if you go into the wrong bathroom intentionally or unintentionally. Whoa. If you go into the wrong bathroom, it may cause dangerous or offensive situation in the bathroom. Some people will claim that having a woman go into a man's bathroom and vice versa may be physically offensive to them. But is it illegal to go into the wrong... Wait, what? Interestingly, the judge may decide differently in a court of law because some laws allow men or women to walk scot-free if they act unintentionally. Okay. And even if you acted intentionally because your gender's restroom was unavailable at the time you acted that way, you would be able to make a persuasive claim. You can say that you had a legitimate reason to do that. Okay, so it is technically illegal. So we already have a form of illegality that can be waived by a judge. But instead of having to deal with the judge afterwards, or after you've been charged, since we already have it illegal to enter the opposite sex's restroom, you can create a licensing thing to protect trans people so that if they wish to enter their perceived, or even like the bathroom that they look like they should use, but someone gets a stick up their butt or whatever, gets upset or whatever, hates the person that went in there because they know them like from online or something. But if they see that person entering the opposite sex's restroom, then if they try and take action or like report that person, they can already be like, got a license already, bitch, you can't do shit, instead of forcing them to be drugged through some judicial system and then risk having a judge in a shitty area not give a fuck or whatever. Instead of all that, you could just make a permit system that will protect you if you are going into the opposite sex's bathroom, even if that's what you look most like. Because like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you can pull out your driver's license or whatever, like you can do that, and then you can either have a medical professional do it, have a judge do it, you can set up some other system for it, and just basically like copy paste this over here, and then the alternate for there and there. And so that'd be one way to somewhat like peacefully and compromisingly end the whole, you can use whatever bathroom you want, you can only use the bathroom of your sex type of thing. That's one way to make it so that people are legally protected beforehand and not be forced to go through some court system, or maybe they'll run into some total shitheads. And I haven't seen anyone else put forth this whole like licensing thing before. It's something that I just thought up probably like 6 months ago or something like that. And honestly, I think it'd probably be a nice compromise that everyone could get behind. Like, if you have to go before a judge or whatever, I think a lot more people would probably be in favor of the judge part, because that's like a judge has already decided the case before it happens that, yeah, that person looks like they could go into that bathroom. Whereas medical professional, you can still get a lot of people in the medical field being like, oh, they have long hair, they can, pass or whatever. Because let me tell you something. Fun part of my life. I previously had way longer hair than this. Alright, my hair used to go all the way down to like here. And there were plenty of fucking times that I was in the dude's bathroom and I was either washing my hands or standing at the fucking urinal, and someone walks in and goes, and they pause for a sec. Because they walk in, they see me, and they just see the long hair. And especially if I'm at the sink and I can like see them in the reflection, it's fucking hilarious. I laughed all the time at it because I'm a fucking dude. But they just see the long hair and they're like, oh shit. And usually what it probably is like, oh shit, did I walk into the wrong restroom? And I've seen that look on, like that specific look on people's faces all the time of, oh fuck, did I walk into the wrong restroom? And then they're like, no, this is a dude's restroom. Oh no, that's just a dude. Okay. And like their immediate categorization for me was female. And then walked their steps back, made sure they were in the right place and not in the wrong place. And then they're like, no, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. Which means that that person is probably, and then, you know, either they'd piece it together based on my general build, or they'd, you know, see my face in the reflection, looking at them, maybe cracking up laughing, or just looking at them and they'd see the rest of my face and be like, oh no, dude, like, it's okay. And then they'd be on their merry way. Yeah, when I was younger, from the back, I looked like a fucking chick. And I'm glad that is no longer the case. But I would like to leave y'all with 2 more shorts. And so the first one. Hence the story I just told. But also, there's this. But that's going to be it for this one. If you want to look into some other aspects that I didn't cover, like the history of gender theory, one video on it, the monster behind gender theory and the atrocious lie he based it on, you can look at that video. This is from the Jordan P. Peterson Clips YouTube channel. Or if you want to do your own research into people like John Money, or just do some reading on like the disturbing history of research into transgender identity. I haven't even read this. I just random shit I'm looking up. Because again, I'm just some motherfucker on the internet speaking what I think and what I've heard and what I've seen, hoping to have a conversation in the comments. But at that note, if you enjoyed, please like the video, comment, subscribe, and peace.